This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is shut up, Emily. This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean, and you've already guessed, and Alan Cochrane. You can text the show on 81215, follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio, or email the show via the Absolute Radio website. What is it?
I love your musical choices, Frank.
Oh, that
so
was brilliant
sweet.
track. Yeah. Anyway, good. Oh, can I start off with some? Now, let me see. I used to have on my jingles. Here it is. Here we go.
Congratulations and jubilations.
Cliff, he came back. In case you're worried at home. So I'm congratulating Graham and Nathan this morning. Now, Graham and Nathan host the radio show on Spin 1038 in Ireland, also owned by our parent company, Bauer, so under the Bauer umbrella.
Oh.
Now, they were nominated for, remember when we used to get nominated for ARIAs, the big radio award?
Yes,
Before
I did.
they've sort of seen us now, but when we still had an air of novelty about us, we used to get nominated.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they got nominated for the Irish equivalent, which is called an IMRO. Oh. And fabulously, they did a slightly too long video, which was a parody of Three Lions called, inevitably, Imro's Coming Home. And what was good about it is that one of them sang Imro's Coming Home, while the other one did the commentator bit saying, "We've got no chance, let's face it." It was like a competition they did that got the thing. So we've got no chance, let's face it, it's rubbish. We got nominated last and we never won it. And so they do all that. Anyway, they won it, which is
How
exceptional.
wonderful. Even if it does sound like an international visa form.
Yeah,
It's
the
lovely.
IMRO. Yeah, I tell you, the IMRO is a hell of an award, because on the video you see them get the award. You could do damage with an IMRO. They wouldn't dare make a soap award like that. When everyone gets drunk, everyone at the soap awards is completely smashed. If you had awards like that, people would be killed.
Yeah.
So
I like that you assess awards by how dangerous they might be.
well, it
in
just
the wrong
looks,
hands.
some awards are so flimsy, whereas the IMRO looks like if they were sealed in the awards hall, that they could batter their way through the wall with their own IMROs.
I like the sound of that.
Anyway, well done to Graham and Nathan. And I thought it was one of the better parodies of Three Lions
Oh, I'll check it out.
I've seen. Yeah, Imro's Coming Home. Imro could also be a supervillain, I think, in a Marvel comic.
Yeah.
Does your computer just remember when you put in the letter P in a search engine, does it just come up parodies of Three Lions?
Well, I've seen some really, really bad ones, but
Yeah, I'm sure.
it's fine. The mistake they've made, of course, is they've won an IMRO now. The secret is to not win, so that the song goes on forever.
It's evergreen.
That's what we're doing.
Exactly.
682, Frank, has had 2 weeks away, and it doesn't let you text from Kefalonia.
No,
they've
that's because Kefalonia doesn't exist.
Okay. I saved the 2 pods to listen to when I got home. A little bit of praise. But then this. I love it best when Frank reviews how funny he thinks he's been near the end of the show. Have a great morning, gang.
Okay, well, I'll make a note of that. Where is Kefalonia?
It's in Greece,
It's
is
all
it?
Greek to me.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's not a country, is it? It's a place. Okay. Yeah, now it sounds.
People are gonna message us with geography knowledge now.
No, there's no
I'm
need.
okay with that.
I'm happy to take Emily's word for it. Okay. By the way, don't forget this morning's texting. Mod wrestling, do they use real mod? 8, 12, 15.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
I went to a crazy golf thing this week. It was called Pot Shack, right? I'm not doing a an advert for it. I'm getting no money from Potshack. Don't panic. If my manager's listening, he often wonders if I mention a brand name, if I've got a side thing going on. I haven't. So, and Potshack is it was like a kids' party, but they
Sorry.
it's crazy golf for the 21st century is what I would say.
Oh, is it?
And get this. You're given a ball at the beginning, and when you put your ball on the tee puts your name on the scoreboard. It recognises your golf
That
ball.
is clever, isn't it?
There are times when the modern world really delivers. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, sometimes it does negative, but the times where you think, yes, we are living in the modern world. Like, for example, this week I saw an advert for a sort of a Trident tap. I don't think it's called that, but that's what I'm calling it. And it was 3 taps in one tap.
I'll be quiet.
And one is cold water, and one's boiling water, and one is, wait for it, fizzy water.
I'll be quiet.
Hold on! Imagine having that in your home.
But you see, I worry about the boiling water function for the drunks. I don't know what's your obviously not one, but I mean, if you have someone drinking alcohol in the house, I don't advise that.
Well, it's yes. When I used to drink very, very heavily, I used to when I got up in the morning, I didn't dare risk holding a glass because my hands were shaking so much. So I would drink directly from the tap. Even though my mother told me as a child never drink directly from the tap because sometimes slugs come out unexpectedly. I never saw that.
Yeah, but the good thing is your dad always carried a pinch of salt in his pocket.
Yeah, exactly.
Presumably for that.
Exactly. And also, if you feel that ill, you're not going to bother about a slug coming out. That would be devoured.
Bit of protein to
That's
sort
the only breakfast I'm going to have, until I open the Ricard. So, so I thought that. Anyway, that wasn't it. I was talking about and I was really impressed. I actually said, "Oh, brave new world that hath such crazy golf in it."
Did the Huxley reference land?
No,
Oh.
it didn't. I think it's actually Shakespeare.
Oh, it is originally. You're absolutely right, Frank.
So Shakespeare actually...
You went OG on me. I like that.
Shakespeare... What's OG?
Original gangster.
Yeah.
You went Tempest. Is it Tempest?
Yeah, so you could say Shakespeare invented in it. Which youth have... do youth know that they're quoting Shakespeare when they say in it now?
Oh, forsooth.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So anyway, I was watching this crazy golf in awe when one of the children, and I said they're young, they're 9 and 10. One of them just picked he played a bad first shot. He just picked the ball up, put it straight in the hole, and the computer congratulated him for a hole-in-one.
Great reaction now.
So,
There's not been a system yet invented that hasn't been gamed.
No, I mean, this
real
kid,
life lesson.
I thought maybe he'd misunderstood the word pot and thought you could just put it in the hole. But this elaborate this arena of lights and sounds couldn't cope with a kid just dropping the ball straight into the hole. The thing is, you can't unsee that. Do you know what I mean? Once you've seen a kid do that, I was despairing. Oh, sorry about that.
It's exactly the technology that Hawkeye was invented for, surely.
Yeah, well, I must have told you when I went to a first floor sushi restaurant once in Bournemouth and looked out the window, and there was an overgrown crazy golf. And there was a clown's face, big gaping clown's face covered in mildew and ivy. And I thought, goodness me, that's a fabulous symbol of my career. and now I find I go to crazy golf and it shows me the end of traditional morality.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I'm going to tell my second child activity story of the morning. We also went go-karting on Sunday. Obviously, they just pushed them around the track because there was no fuel. But even so, it was a much help. No, they found a bit of a bit of fuel. And
I'm glad you were using the supplies on go-karts.
well, there's a great, yeah, but you got to look after the children. If you look after the children, then you got a happy life. And so they went round and round. It was quite noisy, and I inhaled quite a lot of carbon monoxide.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but I was worried about
Did you get a little headache?
I didn't, because luckily they had the antidote available there, which were bright blue slush poppies. Do you remember those drinks? No longer called slush poppies.
What are they called now? They've been rebranded.
They're called Star Slush. Everything has to have a little celebrity thing. It's like charity.
Yeah.
If it doesn't have a celebrity, it don't count no more.
Has the graphic changed then? Because there was a little. There was a dog.
Soul's canine now.
No
I think it's a star. I think it is.
Oh, they removed the poppy from slush poppies. Is that what's gone?
I think the whole poppy thing is. There's probably it was thought to be cruel or something. The idea that somebody might crush one like ice. Thought there might be a misunderstanding. Still taste. Brilliant. Brilliant in there. You know there are no natural ingredients in it, and there's something very refreshing. It's a lovely change from these, these drinks that tell you they're healthy, and then when you actually look, they got 9 spoonfuls of sugar in. It's up front. What you see is what you get with a Star Slush, the SS as I call it. I'm not the first person to say of the SS, what you see is what you get.
Oh, for goodness sake. Imagine you in the branding meeting.
But exactly. But I'll tell you what. We had we had those cupcakes, you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I know cupcakes.
I think cupcakes are the least appealing of all the cakes, because the icing is just too much. You get a cake. I think if you get a cake that's, say, 2 inches high, the icing should not be equally high. Right. It should be less, considerably. You know when people say, "Oh, that really puts the icing on the cake." Yeah. Well, with a cupcake, what you're really doing is put the cake underneath the icing. Do you know what I mean? The icing is the dominant thing, and it's not too much.
I think ratio and food is an important conversation that we need to be having more.
I do. No one ever says.
I had a very similar chat recently about one of those fancy sausage rolls that I felt was about 19 parts meat and 1 part pastry. It was just too much meat.
Yeah, I've seen that. That is a trend in sausage rolls. The thinning.
Are you complaining getting too much value for money?
Yeah, because I'll have a sausage if I want that.
You have a sausage. Go on. You have your sausage.
But I want the pastry to be a dominant thing as well. You know what I mean? I'm after democracy in a sausage roll, not dominance.
I'd like to.
That's really put the cake under the icing.
Frank, I'm going to present. I'm going to be the voice of controversy here.
Here we go.
I happen to prefer the icing. I specifically like my cupcakes icing dominant.
Oh, no. Do you remember there was a string of documentaries called When Blah Blah Goes Bad? Like When the Weather Goes Bad. Well, when flightless birds go bad. Well, for me, that's when icing goes bad. Is when it's on or when sausage goes bad would be the thin pastry sausage roll.
Okay.
How many people do you think we've lost this morning so far? There'll be a few old stalwarts.
Are we doing when radio goes bad?
But exactly, when radio goes off.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Still no mud wrestling answers?
No, not so far.
What is it with people?
Maybe you should re-throw it out there, just see.
Yeah, do they use real mud for mud wrestling? Maybe mud wrestling has been removed, but it doesn't need to be ladies in bikinis. I don't see why it couldn't be any kind of human being.
Also, you know that Turkish wrestling where they pour olive oil on each other. I wonder what
No, but you
calibre
obviously
of
do.
olive oil they're using.
Yeah. Do you think virgin or
Get
non-virgin?
expensive. Yeah.
I'm not familiar with Turkish wrestling where they pour olive oil on each other.
I think they wear some special trousers and sort of grab each other. I saw it on a
I think.
documentary.
I mean, when you say I think.
Generally speaking, any event that involves special trousers is certainly, it's one for me. Special trousers. Excuse me, do you sell special trousers? Get out of my shop. No, but I wanted to go some Turkish wrestling. Get out. So actually, I had dinner with Melvin Bragg this week.
Oh, is his hair still
He looks
luxuriant?
great. He looks amazing. He's still at shop as a tack. And we was I'll tell you what, I ordered hispy cabbage. If ever I go to a fancy restaurant, I like to order one thing that I don't know what it is. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And are you familiar with hispy cabbage?
No.
I was hoping it might be wispy cabbage. There was a typo on the menu, and it just, I just inhaled some cabbage-based smoke. Mm-hmm. But no, it was not that nice cabbage. That's what I would call it.
To give it its full
Quite
name.
a hard lump of cabbage.
What was it seasoned with? How was it presented?
Well, it had stuff on the top of it that looked a bit like asbestos. I'm guessing it in the modern age it wasn't. But there was a sort of a topping on it, not a la cupcake. It was a bit thinner than that and hopefully more interesting. But not nice, hispy. So I'm just saying, if there's anyone out there who's going out with Lord Bragg tonight, skip the hispy. Skip the hispy is my new catchphrase.
I'm describing that as the ultimate niche shout-out.
I tell you, some of there was even more niche. Is in the midst of the meal. Who should turn up but Benjamin Zephaniah, the Birmingham poet, and Villa fan, just saying that. But he presented Lord Bragg with a framed copy of a poem that he'd written about him. It was a lovely moment.
Was he just carrying it round with him?
He turned up just out of the blue as a surprise. It was a sort of like a literary stripogram, if you can imagine. Such a thing just suddenly appeared at the table. I remember a mate once saying to me, this would be in the 80s, he said to me, "You ruined my stripogram tonight," but they'd got a stripogram for his birthday. He said, "You ruined that by shouting, 'This is Thatcher's Britain.'"
The most 70s/80s anecdote ever.
No. Yeah, it was 80s, I think. I think she had her feet under the table by then.
Yeah, she did.
No, I just thought it was a fairly unpleasant thing, and I made my feelings known. I didn't hold up a red card.
No.
It was those days. I hadn't come around.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Have you heard from the outside world?
Yes, our tuppence.
I'd like a jingle that goes, "The outside world, whoa, the outside world." What do you think
I
that'd
think
be?
you've just done it.
Why?
Oh, yeah, I've
Because
done
you
it.
enjoy living in medieval Britain.
Keep jingles live.
Yeah.
It sounds like the sort of thing Simon of Sudbury might
What
sing.
about that'd be a great campaign, keep jingles live, so you have to do all your jingles live on air. Oh man, brilliant. I'm going to do that
That
from now
sounds
on.
like, there's more to it than many campaigns. I once did a benefit gig for the comedian Hal Crottenden.
Oh yeah.
And I got there, and it was to help people go to drama school. I was like, I think we need more plumbers than future
Than Christopher
unemployed
Plumbers.
actors. Yeah, very good.
Hey?
Very good, Frank. Very good.
So, the outside world. The outside world, the outside world. Whoa, the outside world.
We've heard from our tuppence.
Oh yes.
Our tuppence just wanted to add, which I enjoyed, Frank's anecdotes this morning are coming thick and fast. Crazy golf to Melvin Bragg in a matter of minutes.
Yeah, well, there you go. 0 to 60. Oh, he's 80, actually. But, yes. Well, it's been a very full week for me, I must say.
We've also had some people getting in touch regarding two ongoing themes this morning. Cupcakes.
Mm-hmm.
And you've also referred to, I think, sausage rolls. That was your contribution, Al. I mean, you've contributed more.
It's all about percentages is what we're talking about. Percentage,
Yeah.
sausage to pastry, icing to cake. That's the...
I mean, actually, I wouldn't feel too aggrieved if the sausage roll was 15 parts meat and 5 parts pastry. I wouldn't feel like that was that wrong, but not 19 and 1 part.
No, we get the add-in, Al add-in.
Beryl Cole.
thank
Beryl
you.
Cole.
Beryl Cole, I like that. That's a good name.
Beryl Cole. That'd be a good tribute act.
Yeah.
To who?
Cheryl Cole.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
her?
Yeah, I should have got that, really, looking back as a professional comedian. Beryl Cole, who would that be?
Whose surname is Cole and their first name sounds
No,
a bit
no.
like Beryl?
Yeah, that completely eluded me. Nevertheless.
Yeah.
So what does
Okay.
Beryl
I
have
didn't
to say?
get Phil McCann.
Oh, right,
this
which
week.
is the sort of joke of the week.
Yeah.
In case you don't know,
Oh.
the guy reporting on the fuel shortage on the news was called Phil McCann.
Yeah. I didn't
That's
get it.
good.
Yeah.
No, he was really called that, though. That was just
That's good,
when
though.
the
I missed
universe
that.
falls into place.
Love it.
Anyway, Beryl Cole has some advice for you.
Okay.
Cut the cupcake in half through the middle and wedge the bottom on top of the icing to make a cupcake sandwich. Much better.
Yeah, but Beryl, I'm sure she's a nice woman, but her mathematics is at fault here because that does not change the ratio. Putting the cake on top, the icing there's still more icing than there should be. Sorry, Beryl. Respect. But I no, that wouldn't do it for me. I'm sorry. I think the cupcake is one of the many very, very popular things that I don't know why it's very, very popular. If I listed them, we'd still be here. I would be doing a 24-hour radio marathon along with Bush and Richie.
You have to feel for it used to be called a fairy cake, didn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Was that the one where they made little wings by cutting the top off? And that was a lovely. See, that was a delicate little cake, a little fairy. Yeah. Looked a bit like the butterfly stroke, like there was two shoulder blades opening up on the top of the.
And then the cup got in on the action. Who asked you?
Yeah. That was, as I say, when icing went wrong.
Yeah. We've also heard from Mark Nixon. I have to disagree with pastry ratios. Not enough filling these days. Just a disappointing pastry pocket. Okay.
That reminds me when Sarah Milliken was on Room 101 and she chose chicken Kievs with not enough Kiev.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
Okay, this is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. Text the show on 81215. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio and email the show via the Absolute Radio website. Do I have to keep telling you?
About once an hour, I think.
Yeah, I think that is the rules.
You referred to Absolute Radio as where real philosophy matters. And John Hopkins, yes, has a tale regarding pastry ratios and a man in what he describes as an existential dilemma.
Okay.
Finally, a radio show discussing pastry ratios. A mate once got a sausage roll from Greg's that was pure pastry.
What?
Oh.
Do you know, how long has his producer been working on this show? In all this time, we've said some things.
Yeah.
I have never heard her gasp
No.
until now.
Maybe Greg's are very litigious and she's just worried about
Yeah, maybe. What they've
smearing
bought,
them.
what that person's bought is a roll.
Yeah.
John continues. He complained and they offered him a choice. A new one or keep the roll and have 2 free sausages.
Oh,
I have never seen a man in such an existential dilemma. What, even Jean-Paul Sartre? I mean, that is extraordinary.
Yeah, that reminds me when I took Boz to, I think it was Burger King, and the woman leaned across the counter and said to him, ice cream or toy? And I thought he was going to, cannot compute. I thought he was going to smoke coming out the ears. So what would you go for, Alan, if you were offered that choice, new one or 2 sausages to accompany the roll?
Oh, God. I mean, first of all, I'd like about 1.5 years to think about this. But if I was to rush, I think I'd take the 2 sausages and put them into the empty pastry. That sounds like a bargain then, doesn't it?
See, what I'd do, I'd have the 2 sausages and I'd hold them in the same hand as the roll. Like when you see a third world statesman doing a press conference and they gaffer tape some microphones together into a cluster. And that's how I'd eat it. I'd eat it like from the fist, but with the 3 shoulder to shoulder. I know sausages don't have shoulders, but you know what I mean. But you, Em?
There's a bit of everything in there.
I'm glad you came to me, Frank. This is a dilemma. I mean, it's one of the biggest ones I would ever have in my life. And I've had Shaquille O'Neal or the Arsenal player. I would say I'd go fresh.
Would you really?
I'd take that risk. I don't want to be clinging on to 2 sausages, and it's not right for my brand.
Well, there's a logic issue in this, because what you feel is if you go and I'll just have a new one, please. You feel you've lost something, but you haven't lost something. That's what you wanted, and that's what you want in there was for a sausage roll.
Yeah,
you're the ledger is level. It balances. Yeah. It's just that you've heard now. There's 2 sausages, and suddenly you've become confused.
What you've done is you've got greedy.
Well, you've been the other man's sausages are always greener. And Greg,
that's how the adage goes.
I've heard that one before.
But you know what I mean? Once you get the idea, it sounds better. But I think yours is the more balanced thing. But I like the third world statesman microphone cluster approach. I think, when it comes down to it, we all do.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
In one of the breaks, the many breaks we have on this show, I was singing It'll Never Work, which you're probably familiar with, Al, are you?
Yes.
Yeah, me
know
too.
It well. I like it a lot.
So do I. It's one of my favourite songs. The producer didn't know what it was, Frank.
I think many of our readers won't know what it is.
Surely not.
Basically,
it's a classic.
Me and David Baddiel, the activist, we did a TV show together which was improvised, and we were so lacking in confidence that the theme tune, what was called It'll Never Work, and ended, and neither will we again. So, yes, that was the song, but no...
it was one of the greats.
Yeah, Sarah didn't know that, but that's fair enough. It's, it's TV history.
Goodness.
It's been a while, I must say.
It was a great show.
I think I met the kid who sang it or something like that.
Did you? How old is he now, Frank? Where did you meet him?
He's in his early 70s. Yeah. No, I don't.
It's Melvin Bragg.
Is he adventurous granddad?
I sincerely hope so. No, that was that was a long time.
We've also heard back from Beryl Cole.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, our cupcake correspondent. The icing. Do you remember she was recommending the cupcake cake, as it were, with icing in the middle that you slice it through?
I remember when she was Beryl Tweedy. Yes, and what
about Beryl Vicini Fernandez? That was a brief period. Was it Vicini Fernandez?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Well remembered. I wouldn't have... If you'd have said to me what was that sort of Spanish name she had, I wouldn't have come up with that. ever.
Beryl Cole, the icing squishes out the sides and you can scrape it off. I don't think I'd make a great Cheryl official tribute act, age 60. Far too dodgy knees. But thanks anyway.
Now, you see, I imagine that Beryl Cole was a joke name based on Cheryl Cole, but now we've had the 60 element. What she's done is impressing down with the 60, the irony is squirted out the sides and left with a very believable first name of Beryl. Beryl's such a great name. I don't know why that hasn't come back for the little children.
Yeah.
You know the old names that come back for the little children?
Oh, yeah.
But Beryl hasn't for some reason.
Oh, dear.
The cake that she's describing, sponge and then icing in the middle and then more sponge, isn't that the basic platform idea of a Victoria sponge? Is that not what they're creating?
I think she's acknowledging that it's a slice. It's some form of a slice she's come up with. But she never mentioned, I have to say, the icing squirting out the side. That's a whole new ball game.
It's a whole new world.
Yeah, Beryl, give us the full story.
And then finally, I mean, we won't talk about cupcakes all morning, but
No.
I, for one, have enjoyed it. 330, cupcakes are decorative, but the displacement activity of the icing can be intense.
The displacement activity. What does that
Having
mean?
to deal with it, I think.
Well, there's a lot to navigate, isn't there? Structurally, it's flawed
Yeah.
as a structure.
Well, the other thing is you know those moments when Shaggy and Scooby-Doo sort of dislocated their jaws in order to eat a very largely stacked sort of super club sandwich.
Yeah.
To actually get an icing stacked cupcake in is it's very difficult. Indeed. You have to sort of come at the side a bit. It's unsatisfying.
Okay.
When you win Great British Bake Off, if you won it with a really brilliant cupcake, would you get a cake cup for your cupcake? 8:12:15.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
Frank, you recently regaled us with an anecdote about, one of your anecdotes about how much you'd enjoyed some toast in a hotel.
Yes. Having not had toast with nothing on, with just butter on for the first time for years, I thought, you know what, toast is actually brilliant. I'd forgotten.
Delicious. And then there was a heartbreak moment where the next day it wasn't so good. But, these things happen.
Yeah.
I wonder if you're what they call a trendsetter, because it's now been in the news. It's been in the news cycle that Victoria Beckham is a fan of toast, not with butter. I believe she's having it with salt. You know that well-known snack that everyone talks about.
Yeah.
Salt on toast.
I have to
She's
say,
having.
you think. When I said earlier that I like to have something I've never heard of before, and I suggested hispy cabbage. But if you can come up with something you've never heard of before, which is so familiar as to combine salt and toast, and it still sounds exotic. Well done, Victoria. That really was something.
Well, she said she was talking on the podcast of Ruth Rogers. I don't know if everyone's familiar with her. She runs the River Cafe.
Oh, okay.
And
do you know Ruth Rogers?
No, but
it's
anyway,
not very appropriate
No,
with
no.
a lady like Ruth
No, it
Rogers.
doesn't
She's
work.
the Waterstones crowd. It's really
It
not
doesn't work.
appropriate.
Yeah, not so nice with a lady.
I mean,
You're quite right.
Ruth Rogers.
you're right.
Right.
I mean, Will Rogers, Buck
Kenny
Rogers,
Rogers.
Kenny Rogers.
I actually explained to
Ruth.
Kenny Rogers the verb.
How did that go?
He was appalled because he had a string of fast food chains called Kenny Rogers Roosters.
Are you
No,
joking?
that's actually true. Yeah.
Yeah.
What did he say? Is he I imagine
He was
quite
really.
a laugh.
He was a bloke who really thought it was hilarious. Yeah, he was very laid
cool.
back.
I think he'd be
good.
nice. I'm
Top
sure
man.
Ruth
Yeah.
Rogers would be nice. I just don't think it would be appropriate.
No,
it's
I
a bit
wouldn't.
more.
Okay.
I wouldn't drop it in a company. Don't worry about that.
No, I don't think you'd be welcome.
I'll never be in a company, almost certainly.
No, I don't think so.
But Victoria Beckham was, yes. I nearly said Virginia Bottomley. I knew there was a VB in there somewhere.
She did a podcast.
Anyway, she did the podcast, and on it she said, Victoria Beckham said, it's that carbohydrate that makes you feel comforted.
Yeah.
I would say there are things that I find more comforting than charred bread devoid of moisture.
Does she put butter on it before the salt?
She won't have butter.
All right.
No, butter.
Are you sure?
Frank, have you got a Shocks jingle for that? I mean, butter.
No,
Because there is even a product called salted butter that would be perfect for such an occasion.
Is there really? I like the way you announced that as if you should have a silver spacesuit on, talking to me through a monitor. There is a product called salted butter. Called what? What will they think of next?
I'm just thinking of it as more of a labour-saving purchase for Victoria.
If this was the movie, we need to see the newspapers spinning around
with salted butter.
Salted butter discovered.
This Al was dry toast with salt sprinkled on it. She was quite
out.
Oh, come on, give it. I tell you what, the producer has I don't know what the 30 seconds. Do you mean to go? Okay, I've never seen that before ever.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I decided to try this yesterday, and then the only bread we'd got in the house was frozen, and I hadn't got time to. So I tried a frozen piece of bread, not toasted, but just. I basically just reproduced. Winter road conditions. I just put salt on frozen. And I tell you one thing I've discovered completely accidentally is frozen bread it's really nice.
Oh, I freeze all my bread.
No, but do you eat it frozen?
Of course I don't.
No, I didn't thaw it. I ate it still frozen.
You didn't John it?
With the I didn't with the salt on. It was actually pretty good.
Is it all right to eat frozen bread?
8, 12, 15.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
We're talking about Victoria Beckham's salt toast. She said, she acknowledged though, because she's quite self-aware, VB, which I do like. She said, to most restaurants, I'm probably their worst nightmare. I love steamed vegetables and I like to season things myself. I don't like oil or butters or sauces. And she said that even Gordon Ramsay, who's a friend of the family, he said he's never seen anybody as disciplined about the way they eat.
Well,
that's what he says to them. That's the client-facing.
What does she mean by I like to season myself? Does she arrive with, those things that Mexican bandits used to wear? Does she arrive with them with like salt, pepper, mixed herbs, turmeric? Arrives in. There used to be a nightclub in Birmingham where women wore sort of tequila shots in those.
Well, are you suggesting she'd arrive with a spice rack?
That is...
Very good.
It's good, and it's the cleanest version of that joke available on the market. Very breakfast. Well done, you.
Thank you.
That job on Christian radio when this show closes is waiting. Brilliant work, Emily.
So really I would say, as I said, I think she seems to be self-aware about it. She acknowledges it's a problem. I do know... Do you remember the chef Mark Peter White?
Marco Pierre, yes. Oh, yes, I just dined... I stayed at the Mercure Hotel in Bridgewater, you might remember, and the restaurant there is a Marco Pierre White. There's some of the most depressing photographs on the wall there of him having like boisterous macho horseplay with Gordon Ramsay in the kitchen, and a shot of Gordon Ramsay afterwards cooking with all the back of his shirt and trousers ripped. They got so out of hand. And
did he have special trousers?
Well, if he did, they'd been on-specialed by MPW. But it was so much when the male cooks sort of over-mail it.
They love that, don't they?
Oh, relax.
Well,
you've got your restaurant. Relax.
Mark Peter White was...
Food was nice, so fair play.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
he infamously, I mean,
Yes, I
do you remember?
Yes,
he would eject people from his restaurants if they asked for salt and pepper.
Yes, he came out of the kitchen, didn't he, furious because someone had asked for salt.
Yeah.
Yeah, no need for that.
He didn't like
In
it.
fairness, it was for a sticky toffee pudding, so they were a bit cheeky.
Well, they were ahead of their time. That was pre the salt caramel.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think? I do often favour salted toast with some sort of roasted tomatoes
Do you really?
Oh,
with olive oil.
Well, you learn something new every week. On
You
this.
that's
do.
nice.
I'm
Quite
really-
Mediterranean, Emily Dean.
Oh, I'm very Mediterranean, Al.
Yeah.
Did we find out if it's safe to eat frozen toast, by the way? Because I have eaten a slice
Actually,
yesterday.
yes. We've had a text saying. Actually, I mean, this is not breaking news, but hi. What will Frank give himself out of 10 at the end of this show? I toast frozen bread. It's fine and butter spreadable. I think it's safe to do this from Nige.
There's a misunderstanding here.
No, I understand that you ate it frozen. I'm just
Yeah.
saying that you could have toasted it straight from the
That was
freezer.
a lovely
Could have
marital
toasted it, but
vibe.
you know what? Things to do, Al. Things
busy
to do.
Doctor Who
Toasted.
box sets.
Nige that's texted the show, aren't you?
I can't be toasting things in the day like that. But we're trying to set up that we can get some toasted salt. Would you call it salt on toast? I suppose you'd
Salt
call
on
it.
toast, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to give it a try. I don't know if I can tempt Emily into a carbohydrate. I'm surprised actually that Victoria eats any carbohydrates at all.
Yeah. Respect.
Good on. I thought remember I saw her dining out once, and for dessert she had half a jelly tot.
Frank Skinner. Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
Look, we got some salt on toast. I'm going to be straight with you. Dry salt toast. We've had it. I don't know if I over-salted. I feel really thirsty now.
Can I tell you, Al, we had a different technique, Frank Skinner and myself. I went
For the salting.
Yes. It was interesting to note. I don't know what this says, but I went for the
Let
sort
me
of...
guess.
Go on.
Did you do a delicate sprinkle and Frank just plopped the toast straight face down into a bowl of salt? Is that how it works?
Well, you're close. I sprinkled it, as one would, seasoning with sea salt, for example, on top of a dish or a salad, etc. Frank grabbed a spoon and just tipped it onto the toast.
Yeah, well,
Extraordinary behaviour.
it was
Sounds salty.
it was quite salty. I might have over-salted the toast, but it's all
Is that
right.
your review of salt on toast?
Yeah,
Salty.
bit salty, and
Yeah.
I tell you what, I didn't miss the spread as much as I thought I would. You did miss the
Oh,
spread.
really?
To me, it tasted like herrings.
Herrings?
Ooh. Now that can get on board with.
of talk, isn't it? Tasted like herring. What kind of salt did you put on it?
It tasted very fishy.
Sort of sardine-y,
Yeah.
a bit mackerel-y.
What I liked, the classic Emily
Lovely.
Dean moment, she said to me, oh, it's table salt. Well, I forgot it was called that. Table. She said, I thought we might have some pink Himalayan salt.
no, I did say that.
I was reading about pink Himalayan salt. They claim that you sleep better when you take it, that it reduces signs of aging and
come on.
increases your libido. Pink Himalayan salt.
three of my favourite things.
You know how I take those claims.
Do you know?
Pinch of
With a
Himalayan
pinch of
salt.
pink
Very good.
Himalayan, exactly.
Right,
Very
lovely.
Good. Very good.
Do you know I like to bathe in pink Himalayan?
You are
Do you really?
no way.
Yes, I have
What, in a
things.
sort of change
How
from
much?
Epsom salts?
You know, we were talking before about the proportion of sausage to sausage roll. How much salt to water?
Well, what I found is that it can be a little bit of a shock when you're stepping into the bath.
Crunchy floor.
How dare you? If all the salt hasn't properly,
It's like when you go into the people coming out the sea doing that terrible sharp stone walk.
I know, but the feet are one thing.
Wouldn't it have been great if Ursula Andress in Doctor No had come out of the sea doing that, walking in that? So it's still crunchy on the bottom of the bath.
It's very crunchy, so I like to leave it in there a while, and it's awfully soothing.
Is it really?
Yes.
Well, I'll go to our house.
And there you would have found salt.
Yeah, of course, in my dad's pockets, ready for blinding assailants.
That's what Frank's dad, in case there are any new readers, Frank's dad loved. He always kept salt on his person.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a good thing to do.
No.
Obviously, it's a bad thing to do. But those were, he was out sometimes when it was dark. Which kind of justifies it for me.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. You can text the show on 81215. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via the Absolute Radio website. Simple enough, isn't it? Get on with it.
We've been discussing VB and SRT, salt on toast. And 597 has texted, toast dripping and salt, you can't beat it. I know it sounds a bit medieval, but hey.
No,
and that's Simon of Sudbury, who does also sound a bit medieval.
Yeah, we used to have a lot of dripping. So my mum would just get the meat tin out the oven that had still got the sort of space where the meat had been in the middle. And then there's all this white congealed stuff with like brown jelly underneath, and then just spread it on the bread. As you say, salt on top of that, because we thought there might not be enough salt in it.
Really? You'd eat that, would you?
We would eat that, yes.
Yeah, they had that, Emily, just with a little sprinkle of Himalayan
Oh, shut up! I apologise.
some balsamic vinegar.
I'll tell you, this week, this is what I saw. I was at a lovely restaurant.
With Melvin Bragg? Or
no, not with Melvin Bragg.
Bragg.
I was Sans Bragg. I'm never completely Sans Bragg. We ordered fizzy water, I think for the table is the term they use.
Sparkling water, and I bet Frank Owl says, no, fizzy, please.
Yeah, I did say. Some fizzy water. So they brought in a lovely bottle that stood on the table. But inside the bottle, there was like another compartment, with crystals in it. But as far as I could see, this inner, it's like a heart inside the bottle. But as far as I could see, the crystals were enclosed in glass. So I thought, what's the point if the water isn't reaching the crystals? So I asked, I was tempted to say waitress, but in this particular restaurant, they're known as storytellers because they tell you the story of every course. Bear with me. Stop it, Al. Stop going. So anyway, I said, what is the point of having... I said, are they crystals? And she said, yes. And I said, so what's the point if they're enclosed in a glass thing because they're not touching the water? She said, no, they don't touch the water, but they vibrate, and that improves the texture of the water. Oh. And I thought, okay. And I said, I've never heard of that before. Now, don't get me wrong. Pseudoscience is my favourite science. Yeah. I don't like the other stuff much, but pseudoscience can be a fabulous cavalcade of ideas and outrageous theories. So she said, well, we had a water sommelier came here the other week. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with the word sommelier, but it's normally someone an expert on wine. Yes. But this one was an expert on water, and she said we had a water tasting evening.
Wow.
It was a monastery, did I tell you that? No, it wasn't. A lot of them make their own wine, in fact. So, yeah.
You get a specialist sommelier who just deals with water.
As a teetotaler, I was I was very impressed by the idea of a water tasting evening. Can you imagine such a thing? Someone told me that the word teetotaler came out because the bloke who announced the campaign stammered and actually said he stammered on the letter T of totaler. And that's how it came out as teetotaler. Is that possibly true? Someone will know out there.
Oh, someone will know.
So anyway, water tasting evening.
Dimitri the Nimble has been in touch.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. But it sounds complicated. Try crumbled OXO cubes on buttered toast. You will never look back.
Well, me and my siblings used to eat OXO cubes just like you might eat sweets. Just chew them up. And they were... yeah, they were very nice. I don't know if I should recommend them on air. There's probably some... I don't think there's any bit of extra salt. But yeah, try them. They are. They're...
Try.
They're
Do you know that's where our childhoods cross over? Because I did the same.
Did you? Well, I knew there would be some common ground. Hurrah.
Finally.
Yeah.
It's taken 11 years to find.
Exactly. When Emily asked me if my dad had any who were his contacts. What are you talking? What?
Oh, shut up.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We've been doing a lot of what I would call salty humour on radio today. Not by its original meaning, but we were discussing VB's salt on toast order. Now, I think I've discovered recently a little life hack that I'd like to share with people. Mm-hmm. I've occasionally been having stinky food, like really late at night. So I'm on a constant attempt to eat more oily fish. So having things like mackerel or sardines on toast. But I've realised if I eat that stuff at like 11 p.m. when everybody else has gone to bed, then it doesn't stink on my beard, and the next morning, and it doesn't repeat on me for the rest of the day.
So eating smelly,
yeah. So by the time I wake up, it's just the pillow that smells. It's not my face anymore.
Oh, that's nice for your wife.
Exactly. And I'm recommending it. And in fact, last night I did a gig, and then I had some cottage cheese with chives on toast. And because it's not a particularly stinky or disgusting food, it just lacked something. It didn't have the same frisson for me, if I'm absolutely honest with you. So I share that as a life hack for you all.
Yeah, what you need is maybe a jogged hair waiting when you get in.
A jogged hair?
Do you know what a jogged hair is? It's when they hang it up until it decays.
It's not
nice.
I
see. And then they put it in a jog to marinate. I had some once. I'll tell you where I had it. I had it on that radio show, I've Never Seen Star Wars. You know that? I think it was a TV show as well for a...
I know those jogged hair. There's the sort of thing Lady Chatterley's lover would have kept in his quarters, in his shed.
I don't know what Lady Chatterley's lover kept in his quarters. But I wouldn't have it hanging up at my house.
Okay. So that's interesting, Al. So you favour... I'm going to have to raise... There's a point of order here. You threw chives in very happily and confidently with the non-smelly food group.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've been trying. I don't like to plug brands on the show, but I've been trying Longley Farm cottage cheese with chives.
Wow,
it is the best cottage cheese. But
I have to investigate this one.
I'd never experienced it with chives before, and someone recommended it to me, and I thought, well, you know,
this does sound like sponsorship.
It really does. I mean.
Well, I can honestly say, maybe to balance this, that I hate cottage cheese in all its manifestations.
What about with pineapple?
When did you eat cottage cheese?
I find it really sort of... I feel like I'm being poisoned. It does something bad to me. No, really. I don't have any food allergies that I know of, but when I have that, I feel like I can't swallow damn stuff.
Okay. Damn, Red Butler.
And I'm not. I'm not saying that Al's brand that I think he's got shares in. Yeah, don't say it again, Al.
Don't say it again.
I love them.
But all of them.
Okay,
Your Philadelphia's, your all. I can't. Oh, it's awful stuff.
Oh, it's
like I can't. It's like it sits in this small chamber just below my larynx and won't move. It's horrors.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Should we head over to the document we like to call Previously, Al, which is a collection of correspondence?
Previously, things that happened previously, being referred to now.
That's nice.
Keep jingles live, keep jingles live.
Keep jingles live. I'd like to bring to your attention an email that we received when we were discussing Simon Sudbury on a previous show.
Oh, yes.
Hi, Frank et al. I enjoyed hearing mention of Simon Sudbury on the show last week, and I thought you may be interested to know that the bishop's head is now kept separately to his body in some sort of container at St Gregory's Chapel. It was partly mummified after being left on a pike in the sun for a few days after his execution.
It wasn't a garnish. I thought it was a garnish for a fish dish. After being left on a pike.
On a pike in the sun for a few days after his execution by the protesters of the Peasants' Revolt. And it's apparently possible to go and view it. A couple of my colleagues did so when I was working at the Tower of London, although I've not got round to going myself. I thought this could be a nice historical and religious-based trip for Frank in the future.
Yeah, it sounds
all the best, Becca. Yeah.
I remember in
a lot of fun.
The Catholic Cathedral in Montreal, they had the heart of a guy a bishop who'd been there and became a saint. And it was stolen and held to ransom. And then rumours went around that they hadn't refrigerated it, the foolish thieves. And so it was, in inverted commas, handed back. And then it seemed to be much bigger than it was before, and people thought it might have been a pig's one that had been brought in just to keep the faithful happy. But I never got to the actual the bottom of that. So I'm not saying if you're on your way to Montreal Cathedral, I'm not saying it is a pig's one, but that was just the talk. I'm not saying it's a pig's one. I'm not that bloke who stands outside shouting that. Is it not work as a catchphrase for me? It's a pig's one.
Oh yeah.
It's a pig's one. Sorry, carry on.
I like that point. We have some. We've had some other people getting in touch. A lot of side saddle correspondence. Do you remember this has come up on the show?
Oh yes, I met a lady who rode side saddle and jumped. Actually, did high jumps, sitting side saddle, sort of hanging off the side of a horse.
Well, this is where Jackie and Scout takes issue with you. I don't know if Jackie and Scout is some sort of a.
Is that a woman and horse?
Double act.
Okay,
I don't know.
Maybe it's a circus horse act.
I used to ride. No, I'll change the emphasis here. I used to ride side saddle, and no, you are not hanging off the side of the horse.
Okay.
I like the tone here, Emily.
Yeah, it's very horsey, isn't it? I can almost smell the quilted green waistcoat.
I can see the jodhpurs.
Yeah.
I'm loving it.
All right, calm down, everyone. The part where you sit is totally flat. The legs to one side, one leg over a sort of hook.
Yeah.
The other uses the stirrup.
Yeah, I did say that your one thigh goes over a pommel, a curved pommel, not some sort of hook, and into a stirrup. But maybe, as she suggests, that you are a bit more central. I like I was thinking very much of people hiding in Wild West things when they stampede the horses and they hang behind one on one side. But I'll take that as a correzione.
Jackie and Scout, her final word is, I used to compete at shows.
Okay. Well, I can't argue with that. We don't know what show she used to compete at. She might be a jam manufacturer. But nevertheless, Jackie, and indeed, Scout, get under. I bow to your superior. Who is your superior? Is that the bloke in the glasses?
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Okay, now we have even more food news. It's been a very food-based show today. I must admit I'd forgotten about this guy, but Salt Bae.
I like the way you say it, like it's his surname.
Well, the problem is that
Mr. Bae.
Mr. Bae, Esquire.
I thought that was his surname.
Well, it's just your Star Wars, darling. It's just ever so sweet. I would say Salt Bae.
What's the Bae bit mean? You see, where I come from, Bae means if you said, Bae going there, you'd mean I'm not going there.
Oh.
So it's a black country term.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Salt Bae. So you'd say, some things are expensive, but Salt Bae. You'd say that.
Okay.
So what is?
It's a term of affection. It is actually it is actually an acronym for something, isn't it? Best of all something. But it's like
it's like goat,
babe,
is it?
gorgeous. You know, it's like your bae.
It's because he's the guy we talked about before on the show who poured salt on food by running it down his forearm.
Yes, he
That's
had an
right.
unusual distribution method. He sort of held it in a claw.
Yeah.
Tight claw, the salt, and then released it.
And it ran down his forearm onto the food, yeah. You couldn't do it now, of course.
It's very difficult to recreate. I tried it with tomato ketchup and I got cramp. I was
Oh, yeah, that'd be horrible, just waiting.
He's the Turkish chef. I believe his real name. I will utilise my mother's Turkish here. Is Nusret Gökçe.
Oh, I like it.
Well, you know I speak a smattering. Frank.
Does he wrestle?
Yeah, what calibre of olive oil is it?
Yeah, I bet he'd oh, man, imagine the olive oil he'd turn up with.
I'd see him. I could speak some. We could exchange words. I'd say "Seni seviyorum." Google it.
Okay.
I'm guessing it means how much.
How dare you?
Exclamation
He
mark.
became known as Salt Bae, as you said. It was about 2017 he went properly viral. He's now got 38 million followers on Instagram. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. And as a result, his empire's expanded.
Well, it
Because
would.
when you go viral, your empire expands.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
And
I notice it because I'm not actually on social media. Consequently, my empire is the size of a raisin. But anyway, carry on.
Oh dear. So he's just opened a London branch of his restaurant chain. It's called Nusret.
Yes.
Nusret.
And people have been up in arms about the prices here.
Or down in arms, as he would say, when he's putting the salt on.
Yeah.
Some examples. 4 Red Bulls, £44. A steak for £630. £200 for the rack of lamb. £100 for a burger.
Whoa.
Can I tell you the thing I most objected to? £18 for one onion.
What?
They called it an onion flower. Don't drag flowers into your den of onion iniquity.
All right.
Yeah.
On iniquity.
Onion flower, £18.
But, you know, people are paying it.
Well, people are paying for the steak, and it's actually a gold leaf steak. But I don't really want gold in steak. I'm happy with iron in steak.
Of course you are.
Get it?
Oh, yeah.
Iron.
You know, iron. There's iron.
Oh, yes. Yes, yes. Sorry, I was... Yes, he covers
Just
it in
a
gold leaf, and you
joke
eat
for the nutritionists there.
and you eat the gold leaf. Is that the idea?
There's a lot of fondness for gold at the moment. There's gold in skincare as well.
Is
That's the
that
new thing.
right?
Gold serums, gold moisturisers.
And there's also those really weird from another world daytime telly adverts of strange blokes saying, "Why don't you buy gold?" And then showing you like these sovereigns that you can buy and keep at home. It's the weirdest tax evasion thing I've ever seen in my... And always odd guys in like cravats.
Oh, I like the sound of them.
My advice is don't buy gold.
Oh.
We'll leave it there.
Frank Skinner.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
I went to the Fat Duck in Bray this week, which is Heston Blumenthal's place. And I don't know if you're aware of it, but it's like going to the theatre.
Oh, it is.
As I said
Lovely.
before,
Oh, yeah.
you don't get a waiter, you get a storyteller. And what we began with was this. It was chickpea water and some lime stuff, and then they freeze it in nitrous oxygen, is it?
Yeah.
It's about 100 degrees below freezing. They do that at the table. So it's got that dry ice coming over the top like an old Hammer Horror. And then you have to eat it in one. It comes out as a
Yes.
sort of... And while you're eating it, they spray lime essence around you from a sort of... I've never been more limey in my life. I went through the lime ceiling. And the whole thing...
I do the same thing at home, but without the lime essence. But
Yeah, well, you spray a haddock.
Yeah. You shake your beard around.
Yeah, exactly. All you got to do is comb your beard. It'll be the same thing. But it's actually brilliant. You know, I'm not that interested in food, but I do like gimmicks.
Oh, the Fat Duck it's a whole experience.
It is. We were in there 4 hours.
Yeah.
And it was like Zack Snyder's Justice League.
You did get lost for 3.5, though, didn't you?
No, honestly, it was...
Did you see Heston? Did you see HB?
I didn't see Heston, but it didn't matter. We had our own storyteller. What else do you need in life? When the sweets come, a sweet shop comes out on a trolley.
Did you get the goodie bag?
You open it. Oh yes, it opens, and there's a series of drawers that open, and then you take your sweet. Oh man, it's a special thing.
Nice.
But Salt Bae. A meal for 4 cost 1,800 quid. That's what it said.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Now that is... so there was 3 of us. Have a guess.
Well, I can't. I mean, I go there. I've been there. I think I can. I'd like Alan to guess.
Okay.
85 quid.
Okay.
Per head, you're saying?
No. He's saying for the 3.
I was going all in.
Now, bear in mind...
Maybe round a bit extra up for a tip, you know.
Bear in mind...
86.
I know this sounds a bit sordid talking about... but this was a thank you meal. So the 2 people I was taking with me was a thank you for...
Oh, who were you? What, Kath and her mother for tolerating you?
No, it was professional colleagues.
What a lovely man you are.
I am. So how much was it for 3?
That's a lot.
12.50. No.
Frank, that's so nice that you did that.
Anyway, 3 of us.
900 quid. Let's change the
Higher.
game.
It's not higher than that.
No.
It was 1,064 quid for 3 of us. Now, I know that sounds horrible, but can you put a price on a big thank you for people who've done a great job?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was the one I put on it.
Lovely, Frank.
Well, I am lovely.
You are.
Occasionally.
You are lovely, but that's...
And it was an occasion.
Goodness, did they enjoy it?
No alcohol, by the way. I mean, if I pay, Frank's rules. And certainly no Red Bull. I don't see I once had Red Bull before. I interviewed David Ginola, and I had my first ever can of Red Bull. Someone said, try this, you'll really...
How do you find it?
Oh, well, it does give you wings and also palpitations. They don't use that in the slogan. Anyway, look, that's enough. I'm sorry if I offended you with that food price. But like I say, it was... can you put a price on love?
No. Also,
well, I have, but that was a long time ago. So look, and it was a lot less.
God, ow.
A lot less. Thank you so much for listening to us this morning. I was supposed to do a summary at the end of the show about what I thought about how funny I was.
Yeah.
I'm going to say I'm going to say 7.5 out of 10 for my performance today. I thought there were glorious moments, and plateau. But I think sharing my actual restaurant bill at the end was a flourish, which will offend many and delight others. That, my friends, is showbiz. If the good Lord spares us, the voice broke. It wasn't emotion. Out in the creeks don't rise. We'll be back again this time next week. Now get out.